social conditioning since childhood on women and anger and how we've been conditioned. We talked about the story how the girl didn't have a right to get upset even though her brother messed up her toys. Because she was taught, you know, because you're this gender, you cannot behave that way, right? So we talked about some of the things. This is the wrong one. Oh, we did talk about women express anger indirectly and what that looks like. We also talked about how women being suppressed around anger and conditioned socially around how they should behave with anger is also connected to sexism. We talked about how that, who it targets, but how it still affects everybody, and how it gets played out in society, how it also gets internalized with women. And then we talked just kind of about the, just social conditioning around power and gender roles. So we talked about how families seem to always want a boy more than a girl. That clothes even seem to be more durable for men than women, the quality of clothes. Like tennis shoes in particular we talked about. I always find that boy tennis shoes are made with more quality than girl shoes. And that's why sometimes I used to wear boy shoes when I was a teenager.
I still do. I still do.
Right. So, call me a cross-dresser.
Hopenet Direct Response, hopenet Social Services.
All right. This man is hot.
Introduce the cook.
Everybody, this is the cook. This is Lenny. He's a veteran. He's on site to cook for us every meeting. The community man. Shout out.
Okay. So what we got here is straight up vegetables. Slices of dead pig. That's it. Grapes. Corn chips. Potatoes. Cream butter. Just bread. Healthy food. Alright? I know sometimes it's not easy to stay away from that other stuff. It's all you
If we can just have somebody real quick, and then we'll start with some introductions, but if we can have somebody just bless our food so that you guys can start partaking in this. Who wants to bless the food today?
Thank you for this group.
Go ahead, sir. Go ahead.
Alright, here we go. I don't do bow our heads for a second.
Of June. This Friday involves this Friday from Monday at 3 o'clock. Alan from hopenet is doing a media workshop. If anybody has questions, concerns about their computers, iPhones, iPads, don't know how to work this, have a problem with that, there's a bug in this, maybe do a web page, whatever. If you have questions or concerns, Alan, who is really knowledgeable in the media of computers and tech systems, is going to have a workshop Monday at 3, and that will be on a flyer as well. Tomorrow's origami. I'm thinking this Saturday is haircuts, but I'm not sure of the time. That'll be a flyer as well. And that's all my announcements for the day.
Where your flyers at?
I have to make them. On how not to be lost in thoughts, opinions, or reactivity. It is also a training to let us see how things really are, as opposed to seeing them through often distorted lenses of preferential ideas or interpretations. What is that, rose-colored glasses? Like shoes, mindfulness protects us. But shoes can only protect us from our outer world, i.e. the ground. Mindfulness protects us from both our outer and inner worlds. We are protected from our outer world because we can see it more clearly, and we are protected from our inner and outer worlds by being mindful and discerning on how we react. Mindfulness strengthens our ability to avoid harmful impulses and to act beneficially. Training in mindfulness is thus a training in finding the point of contact. Another way of saying this is that it involves a search for the issue at hand. I like the expression because the image of the hand suggests that it can be touched, what can be directly seen and felt. If we spend a lot of time anticipating the future, the issue at hand is not the future event, but rather what is tangible in the present, the immediate physical and mental experience of worry or excitement. If we spend a lot of time in fantasy, the issue at hand might be the physical sensations of the boredom fueling the story making. If we are in any angry conversation, we don't find the issue at hand in rehashing past events and dwelling on our judgments over the other person. Instead, we find it by grounding the conversation in what each person is feeling during the conversation. This does not mean that we can't review the past, but it does mean that we don't need to lose contact with ourselves and the other person. The search for the issue at hand is the search for what is closest at hand, for what directly is seen, heard, smelt, tasted, and felt. And, okay, yes, right. Okay, I'm sorry. The search for the issue at hand is the search for what is closest at hand, for the directly seen, heard, smelt, tasted, and felt, and cognitized in the present. Sometimes what is closest at hand is how we are holding our direct experience. When I teach mindfulness to children, I hold a small bell in my hand. First, I grasp it tightly and show them when I hit the bell with the striker, it makes a dull thud. But when I balance the bell on my open hand, not grasping it at all, when I strike it this time, it rings beautifully. When grasping is seen as being what is closest at hand, mindfulness attends carefully to the grasping. In doing so, one of the basic tasks of mindfulness is to help us to release our grasping. It is intended possible to have our direct contact with ourselves and the world around us by being characterized by the absence of grasping. The closed hand and the grasping hand, the resisting hand, can all be relaxed. We can perhaps touch this earth of ours with the same gentleness and tenderness which the gods reached down and touched the earth on the night in enlightenment. This book you are holding in your hands is a contemplation of essays entitled Task of Buddhist Practice and Mindfulness. Many of these chapters started out as talks given to the Monday or Sunday evening sitting groups. So this book is an offering of the Dharma. So this is a whole other book from what I'm teaching, but it's all the same concept. It stops you from seeing what's really happening, and you end up in blind rage. A lot of times you're so mad you can't even stop yourself. I don't know if anybody's ever felt that. I know I have. You get so mad and you're just going, and you can't stop yourself. So in mindfulness comes radical acceptance. Being overcritical about a situation prevents you from taking steps to change the situation. And so if you spend time fighting your past, wishful thinking and the anger will change the outcome. It's not going to happen. So we start where we are today and making those small steps and those small changes around having radical acceptance to our situations. Okay, I'm going to read this, and it says, distract yourself from self-destructive behaviors. One of the most important purposes of DBT is to stop engaging from self-destructive behaviors. No one can deny the amount of pain that you are in when you engage in one of your personal self-destructive behaviors. Some people with overwhelming emotions say that self-injury temporarily relieves them of some sense of pain. This might be true, but it's also true if these actions can cause serious permanent damage and death. So think about all the pain that you've been through in your life. Think about the people who have physically hurt you, physically, sexually, emotionally, and verbally. Does it make sense to continue hurting yourself more in the present? Doesn't it make sense to start healing yourself and all your wounds? If you really want to recover from the pain that you've experienced in your life, stop the destructive behaviors. Take the first step. You might be addicted to the rush of natural painkillers. They're called endorphins, and they're released, when you hurt yourself. However, these types of self-destructive actions are highly dangerous. So I guess that's talking about self-medicating. Anybody, I don't know if anybody's self-medicated, drinking. Yeah, they said, yeah.
So when we smoke the morpha, is that self-medicating?
Yeah. It's a form of harm reduction, self-medication, yes.
But so then all self-medication is not destructive.
Yes, it is.
What they consider self-medication in the medical field, that you're going out there self-medicating yourself without any recommendation from the doctor. That's where that word comes from.
Right, prescription or something.
All right.
Yeah, it's like, it's a bourgeois way of saying, you know, you self-medicate.
Legit.
I'm not.
That's